Okay, what's up, everybody? We've got Caleb Timmerman here. Hey, Caleb, what's up?
Howdy.
Um,
Stoked to be here.
I know I'm excited to have you here because what was it, last September?
September. Yeah.
Yeah, September of 2023, we traveled to Italy and did some climbing, hiking, biking, via ferrata, swimming. We did all the things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Caleb is a phenomenal photographer, and we're lucky to have him as a friend and to TEREN and it's just personally. But that's a kid trip that we went on, and describe the kid trip idea for our listeners.
Totally. So the way it was pitched to me that was really compelling and I thought was just a really exciting idea was this concept of taking a light and fast approach to travel and really focusing on the essentials and traveling with just one backpack and a kit, and that being all that we needed for the whole week, 2 weeks?
I think it was like
it was a
10-day
trip. Yeah. And really leaning into like, how far can we push this gear? How quality is this clothing? How well are we going to be able to travel with just this very simplified kit of clothing? And doing everything, doing all the activities, making sure that we weren't just doing a thing in the clothing, but really diversifying the kind of things we were leaning into with the button downs, the t-shirts, the pants, the shorts, all of it.
Nice. And did we take one bag each?
We took one bag each.
And
we took a check bag. We took one check bag.
We took a gear bag.
Yeah,
we cheated a little because we wanted some climbing gear and fly fishing gear.
Yes.
Which
saved money, because originally the plan was, we are going to commit to the one bag and get guides and rent gear wherever we go. But we realized that was a cost prohibitive thing. Yeah. So we did take one gear bag.
Nice. Yeah. I would say it's, for that type of trip, probably the lightest I've traveled for that style of trip with how diverse it was. And we'll get more into it.
And that long and that amount of time.
That's true. And we'll get more into it later. But Caleb, tell us a little bit about yourself and why, watch out, microphone.
I'm so sorry.
And why you might be here. Give us a little synopsis of who you are, because there's a lot of reasons why you might be here, but people might not know that yet.
Yeah, I would love to. So my name is Caleb Timmerman. I am a photographer, but I'm also the marketing director and chief stoke officer of the Southeastern Climbers Coalition.
I love this.
Rep.
Feel free to look at the camera when you're talking.
Yeah. So our mission...
Don't care about me.
I'll talk to our audience. Our mission as an organization is to preserve access to outdoor climbing in the Southeast for present and future generations. We've been operating for over 30 years now. We primarily focus on access and stewardship of land that has climbing on it. So that can look like a couple of different things. We create relationships with national parks, state parks, private landowners, but we also buy land. So over the course of time that we've been an organization, we realized that in some instances, it is better for us to own the property, for climbers to own the property, and we will fundraise to make that happen. We were actually the first local climbing organization in the nation to do that.
Nice.
So we set the precedent that now has been repeated by multiple other climbing organizations across the country, which was really exciting milestone for us, because it really kickstarted our ability to be more impactful in our region, because we've not only purchased property in Georgia where we started, but also in Tennessee and Alabama now.
Nice.
And it's been cool to inspire other organizations just to see what's possible when you hit the right fundraising button.
Yeah. And you guys, we love partnering with the SEC and love going to the events, love showing up and hanging out, and, also love the climbing in our area that they take so good care of. But you guys just celebrated 30 years.
Yeah. September was 30 years.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
So Caleb was on this trip and planning a 30-year anniversary party. Phenomenal worker. Just go-getter. And then also, I think on this trip, you you were like talking about this piece of property that you were like, you just got some news on it or something. And you were like, I'm excited, but I can't tell you why I'm excited. And I was like, tell me why you're excited. And he wouldn't. And then, but
That was such a tease.
That's live now, right?
Yes.
What
Yes.
was the most recent property that you guys purchased?
So I remember where we were. We were in one of the refugios in the Dolomites, just sitting on the porch, having a beer after a day of hiking or adventuring or something. I think it was the Via Ferrata. Anyway,
we barely made it to that.
We barely made it
to
that
that later. But.
Yeah. So I received an email from my team essentially saying that we were moving forward with the purchase of a brand new property. And that's a huge, exciting moment for us as a team because it doesn't happen very often. It takes a long time to move through land purchasing processes. It's very dependent on whether or not the seller is willing to transfer the property over to us at the price that we agreed. So many assessments. Anyone who's bought a home or bought property knows that it is a grueling process.
Absolutely.
So we finally received this news that it was 100% guaranteed. And I couldn't tell this to Casey or Kyle, who was with us, because we needed to keep it close to the chest until we were able to go public with it. And I believe we went public with it in December. But it's a property called the Citadel Boulders. And what's important about the Citadel Boulders is that it has been on the SEC shopping list for close to 30 years, ever since the inception of the organization.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the founders of the SEC basically created what they called a hit list of properties that they wanted to preserve access to, either through purchase or through securing a relationship with the landowner.
Well, that's pretty rad. I love that list. I actually think that coexists pretty well with the page that we're about to read. On these podcasts, I'm reading one-page excerpt from this Rolf Potts book, The Vagabond's Way. It's a travel meditation or 366 meditations on wanderlust, discovery, and the art of travel. So if you don't care, skip ahead now. But if you really want to learn something awesome, stay tuned. But the fact that they had a list, the title of this one is Invent a Mission, then Plan Your Travels Around It. And I love it. And I think you're going to love it. So I'm just going to read this really quick, short one page, and then we will reconvene. Travel is still the most intense mode of learning. If you get the chance to travel, just do it. Kevin Kelly in a 2018 interview. In the early 1970s, a New Jersey teenager named Kevin Kelly dreamed of photographing the wonders of Asia for National Geographic. You see how it coexists really well with you? When a phone call to the magazine's office yielded little interest, Kevin decided to quit college and travel there anyway. Departing from Taiwan with one change of clothes and 500 rolls of film, his self-initiated photo assignment wound up taking him around Asia for most of the decade. While his fellow backpackers partied their days away and aimlessly wandered from place to place, Kelly's journey had a focus. I had given myself an assignment, he recalled later. I was out all day, taking photos and exploring, traveling hard, always moving. At a moment in history when the rise of mass tourism has come to offer all manner of entertainments for travelers, sometimes the best strategy for embracing a journey is to seek interests rather than diversions. An entire subgenre of travel books is about inventing a self-directed quest, seeking out fortune tellers in Asia, drinking kava in the South Pacific, hitchhiking through Ireland carrying a mini fridge, and invariably these journeys are less about the quest itself than what the authors learn along the way. Kevin Kelly never became a full-time photographer. He went on to help pioneer internet culture in California, co-founding Wired magazine in 1993. Yet he credits his Asia journey with transforming his way of being in the world. What you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals, he said. Photography made me get out. It was my excuse to get out and see the world. So what do you think? Any thoughts immediately from that?
Man, that really touches on, I think, a level of purposeful intentionality with how you pursue things. And I mean, I could talk for hours about how having a mission, having a purpose is so critical to happiness and real achievement. I think kind of the through line that we could make here is I work for an organization that benefited from founders that had a very clear mission. And we've held to that mission for over 30 years. And it's been passed from staff member to staff member over time. And I think that's the mark of a good mission, is something that's transferable and something that has legacy.
Absolutely.
Something that has legacy. And I think taking that next leap to our personal lives, I think for us, going on this kit trip, we had a purpose, we had a mission, we had a focus, and it was how far can we push this lineup of clothes that we have in these activities in a completely different area for this set amount of time. And I don't know about you, but for me, I thrive when I have purpose. I think an example of that is probably, I also am a wedding photographer.
Yeah.
And for years, I've photographed weddings. I've done it for probably 10 years now. And anytime I am a guest at a wedding, I feel lost because I don't have a purpose. I don't have a role to play. And I have to shift gears in my brain to, I'm here to celebrate. I'm here to contribute in a different way by adding to the energy of the party. But it's very different from...
Caleb can add some energy to parties. Definitely can add some energy to parties.
Indeed. But you know what I'm saying? I think having that purpose mindset really augments any experience, whether that's travel or work. I think having that purpose mindset and mission mindset is something that I've really grown to love.
That's awesome. I think, so when I first read this title, I try to keep it as secret and unknown to the guests as possible, but I also try to keep that to myself as possible, so I don't know what I'm preparing for, and like just natural things happen. But this morning I reread this page and I was like, man, if this doesn't say Caleb, I don't know what does. Like, I know that you've done so many different things in your life, whether it's climbing goals, physical goals, work goals, travel goals. Like, you've been to a ton of different places. You've pursued this, you do wedding photography, but you do it in such a different way than other people. And like, I think you were just in Mexico and California like a week or two ago, shooting 2 different weddings in phenomenal places like Jade Tree and where was the one in Mexico?
Tulum.
In Tulum. But I was like, you've set these objectives, or you've set a mission, and then you just go do it. And then, like the page said, like, Kelly, he didn't become a photographer, but he started this Wired magazine.
But it yielded other things, other incredible things,
amazing things. So that's pretty rad. Is there anything like in your life, whether it's climbing or your physique or your career, that you feel like it's been like a struggle, but then because you said that you were like mission minded, you accomplished it, or you accomplished something adjacent even?
Ooh, yeah. No, I think that's a great question. I think the first thing that comes to mind is moving to Chattanooga in 2017. I
remember this.
Yeah,
I'm so stoked on this.
Yeah, because you're part of this. You're part of this story. So I moved to Chattanooga in 2017 with zero plan. I didn't know what I was doing. I was coming from Rome, Georgia. And at the time, all I knew was I had a place that I could stay for 1 month with a friend, and that was it. So I moved here. I took a stack of applications around town, and the first place that offered me a job was High Point Climbing and Fitness. But I had also gotten to know you through a monthly networking event called Creative Mornings. Shout out, Cody.
Creative Mornings is like an international,
Chapter based organization.
yeah, that has a one word topic once a month, speaker based, and it's really interesting. So go check it out in your local chapter as well.
Yeah. So through Creative Mornings, I had been connected with you, and I think I had told you that I was moving to Chattanooga. And the day that I moved, Casey got me a gig photographing an event here in Chattanooga. And it was an awesome opportunity to just meet people and get to know people and see kind of the young entrepreneurial activist community of Chattanooga.
So also, side note, I worked at a nonprofit at the time, and the event was trying to get people doing good things in Chattanooga together with other people doing good things in Chattanooga that might not know each other. It was called Spark. So the idea is these people come together and you spark, uh, some new idea that becomes a fire, which is really cool. TEREN, we have our company culture or some of our ethos as a company is centered around the campfire, and I feel like this is really fun to share because we don't share this often and we're trying to do a better job of that. But a lot of times, all of these outdoor activities, these things center around the people you want to be with. And then at the end of the day, you sit around a fire camping or something and you have long conversations and longer pauses with these intentional people that you want to be with. And it was really cool to, when I first met you, that Caleb did this for free. It was like a donation base, but how cool is that you committed? You said, I'm going to move to Chattanooga, mission intent, and then offer up this free thing similar to him. He didn't get Nat Geo, but he just went and did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's cultivated. That's really cool.
Yeah. And I think maybe to add to the struggle part of that story, when I did shoots for free or got that job at High Point and I was basically just a front desk staff greeter and cleaned toilets and gave people orientations on how to climb.
Thank you so much for all of those hard works.
I mean, it was a sacrifice, I think. I think it was a very intentional, I'm going to do this job, this entry level job at a climbing gym in this city that I really want to live in, hoping that it's going to lead to something more. And thank goodness it did, because doing that job led to becoming the marketing manager at High Point for 3 of their climbing gyms. And then that led to becoming the marketing director for the Southeastern Climbers Coalition. So it really was the beginning of my journey that helped me accomplish my mission when I first moved to Chattanooga, which was I want to move to Chattanooga and know and be known by the community and just be integrated and contribute meaningfully to the people around me.
Chattanooga go ahead.
I was just going to add meeting people at Spark, meeting people in the climbing community through the gym, like working at that low level. All of those relationships have led to where I am today. And I'm really thankful for that.
Nice. I forgot what I was going to say now.
Yeah.
Probably was worthless.
Yeah.
But that's pretty right. I think that, I know what I was going to say. So Chattanooga, if you haven't been to Chattanooga, you're missing out. But that's where we're headquarters at. And it's a pretty small city. Like, I think the numbers like for the Hampton County is like 190,000, 188,000. Mm-hmm. But, well, with that, if you're walking around town, you can run into someone all the time. I think the week after we got back from Italy, I saw you like 10 times unplanned. And I was like, I'm tired of you, man. Like, you stop going to our favorite breweries, our favorite coffee shops, our favorite restaurants, or whatever that is. But no, it was like, but yeah, you can do that. And but also what's really cool is because of this like smaller city feel, you do get to know people on a deeper level. and you do get to, your goal to be in the community and be known by the community was a good goal to have, but also like, Chattanooga, that happens here pretty like fluidly or easily. And that's why one of the reasons I love it here. This is my third time living in Chattanooga. But yeah, that's awesome. So switching gears here just a bit, um, Caleb and I have talked about kind of how we met and similarities. Like I have a background in photography as well, and I love his work. But talk to me with this mission conversation. So you had a gnarly injury a couple
I
years
do.
ago.
I do.
I also screwed up everything in my knee. But open up if you are open to. Would you open up to care about that, or well, share about that?
Totally.
Um, and then maybe is there any correlation to the topic here?
Ooh, that'll be the challenging part, I think.
Yeah. Well, tell
So,
the
so
story, and
we'll
then
start,
yeah.
and then we'll see how it evolves. So, 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago now, I was climbing here in
When
Chattanooga.
was it? Mine was in
It was
April.
November of
Well,
2021.
mine was March 2022. Surgery was April.
There you
But
go.
go ahead.
Anyway, we had just finished a series of events for the Southeastern Climbers Coalition. I had been working, I think, like 14 days on with no break, no days off, and finally had the opportunity to go play, decompress, and go climb. And I went to Stone Fort, which is here in Chattanooga, and there's a renowned climb there called Storming the Castle. It's a very tall, allegedly easy boulder, and
Allegedly.
the people that I was with, we decided to go and try it. And the guy who went before me made it look super chill, so I felt very confident to try it as well, and started climbing. And the first couple of moves are pretty easy, pretty accessible, and then it starts to increase in difficulty the closer you get to the top. And then the most difficult move is the very last move at the top, where you can either, on very small feet, go into this almost elevator door pull move, or you can make a very dynamic throw to a large hold.
I bet he did the throw.
Uh,
I don't know, but I bet he did the throw.
Narrator, he did. But as I went, my right foot slipped and I fell 25 feet, and my left foot hit the crash pad, but my right foot fell in between the foam pad and the rock wall. So the angle and the force physics caused a open compound tib fib fracture in my tibia and fibula. Uh, and I think when I recall how this happened, the first thing that I remember is not pain. It was seeing my friend Jacob Wertz's face and his eyes going wide and him covering his face and just horror. And that was my first cue to something being wrong. And then I looked at my leg. I was like, oh, that's broken.
Yeah, so you broke your leg pretty much
Mhm.
100%.
Pretty bad.
What, like, do you know all the terms and all the jazz? You just, it
Yeah,
broke you,
yeah,
broke.
yeah, yeah. So I was incredibly lucky to be one of the people that we were with was a wilderness first responder. So he basically did triage and held my foot and my leg together until the paramedics arrived. Uh, so I definitely owed him a six pack afterwards. But we get to the
A
hospital.
6-pack?
Yeah, at the very
Maybe
least.
a
Yeah,
44
yeah,
pack.
totally. Here's for life. Um, but when we get to the hospital, the surgeon, shout out Dr. Gardner, fantastic, talented human, definitely put Humpty Dumpty back together again. He gave me very clear expectations on the front end before going into surgery. He said, uh, there's two ways this can go on a very broad spectrum. Part one is best case scenario. I'm able to put the bone the tibia bone back together. The fibula will remain shattered, and I'll be able to stitch your soft tissue back together. Worst case scenario, I can still put your tibia together, but your soft tissue damage, like the way that my bone exited, I'm so sorry for anyone who's squeamish about this, but the way that my bone exited did so much damage to my soft tissue that they would potentially have had to bring in plastic surgeons to do reconstruction surgery. Luckily, he did a great job, and he was able to do it all right.
The past little over 2 years, the process of going from you were unable to walk at one point.
Yeah. And for a couple of months, I was unable to walk.
So a couple of months of no walking, and then like, what was the process getting back to, like, where are you?
For sure.
Are you 100%? Are you like, what's?
We'll start at the beginning. Yeah. I am incredibly thankful for my friend Aaron, who's actually a nurse in the orthopedic unit at the hospital that I was at. And he saw me not too long after I got out of the hospital and told me this wild story, and basically said, Caleb, you know that we talk about you at the hospital. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you're a case study at the hospital. I was like, what do you mean? He said that apparently, and this was not told to me by my doctor, my surgeon, my nurses, nobody. If my bone had exited my leg centimeters to the left, it would have severed a crucial nerve and artery, and they would have had no choice but to amputate.
Whoa.
Harrowing.
That is
horrifying.
Knowing that, like, how long after?
This was, I think, 5 or 6 months after the surgery. But I tell that story to kind of lead into the second part of our conversation, because he's seen all manner of injuries and gone through injuries himself. But he asked me, because it had been 6 months afterwards, he essentially said, how are you doing? Like, how are you really doing? And I told him, I'm doing okay. I think at that point I was starting to walk like with a cane. I had moved off of crutches and I was walking with a cane. And I said, I'm doing okay. I'm doing better, but it doesn't feel normal yet. And he just kind of looked at me. He kind of put his hand on my shoulder and said, that's your new normal. It will never feel the same way that it did before the injury. You underwent a fundamentally physiological change that forever impacts the way that your body moves and acts and executes any activity. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to return to activity. That doesn't mean that you're not going to get stronger again. You just have to reshape that expectation and let go of returning to what you were before, which was honestly so freeing for me.
I bet. I think like for me, like I had knee surgery and toward my ACL, MCL, 2 tears in my meniscus, different places. And it was like, 2 years out, I feel very different than I did. And one knee feels very different than the other. I assume that's similar to you, but like, knowing that it's like I call it my new knee. But it's like, it is a new normal. And I've been working out consistently, kind of like went from PT to just working out on my own and then pushing it. But like, it's like, why is it not going back to how it was? Similar to you, like, it's just that new normal. But, hearing that, like, I bet that would be freeing. Like knowing that, this is just from here, I can move and I can gain strength back. Because again, we were in the Dolomites or at Lake Garda in September. So around 2 years for you, and you're climbing some baller, tough climbs. So are you like back on the wall, like 100%, or like, talk to us about where you are today.
So I think what might be interesting to share leading up to that is that became my mission, right? The mission became healing, getting stronger, returning to activity in a way that was sustainable, because I didn't want to go too hard, too fast to cause long-term damage. So fast forward 2 years almost to the day, I get a phone call about going on this trip with TEREN. And I had gone 2 years of training and recovery and thought, okay, this coming fall is going to be my first proper climbing season. This is going to be the time when I am able to return 100% to climbing.
How will we start that off in Lake Garda?
Yeah. And so I got this opportunity to travel with these guys, and I was like, man, I had a moment of doubt. I said, oh, am I ready for this? Am I ready for a trip of this intensity, of this scale? Will I be able to perform and do the things that TEREN needs me to do? So there was definitely a little bit of anxiety there.
He was able.
Around just because I've been on expeditions like that before where we're going hard all the time, moving a lot, constant activity. And I had not done that up to that point post injury. So it was really a kind of leap of faith into this trip, thinking, all right, well, I'm just going to do my best. I know that I'll be able to do something for them. And then it ended up being just this epic trip where we were able to climb and do all these other activities. And I'm really thankful that I was able to kickstart my climbing season with that, because it really was a huge confidence boost to go into returning home and climbing hard and being able to execute at a similar level that I was before I broke my leg.
Yeah, every time I see Caleb posting about climbing or whatever, I hear about something that he's done. I'm like, man, that's so cool and encouraging. I used to be a climber. Now, climbers will know this definition. I used to be a climber. Now I'm someone who climbs sometimes. There's a big difference. Right? Yeah, like I love the climb, but like it was really cool to see you being able to do the things you were doing when I hadn't really put that training back into climbing before that trip. So I was a lot weaker on the wall. But it was also similar to you. Like the 2 weeks prior, I went to Colombia and I did a 3-day trek that I went up to 4,000 meters, and I was like, can my legs do this? And yeah, it was a really good kickstart, as you say. But hey, as we wrap up here, I want to I try to do 2 things consistently in this podcast, and I know that's a big feat. But one, the next 2 questions, just to preface so you can think about them, is any like travel pro tip. I like to get unique pro tips from different people. And then the last thing we'll talk about is your favorite piece of TEREN gear. Which piece is it and why? And just really quick on both of those. No need to dive super deep.
No,
super long, I guess.
This is fortuitous because I actually just got back from a trip. You alluded to it. My partner and I went to Mexico and California. We were gone for 2 weeks, and so much went wrong. So many things. I mean, it was like from the moment we got to the airport to leave for the trip to the moment we got back, it was constant, just challenge after challenge after challenge. But it was also one of the most fun trips. And I think part of that is because we had an attitude and a mentality around problem solving. So if something comes up, and I'm sure you've experienced this in your travels as well, if a problem arises, you find the solution as quickly as possible. You can't spend time arguing or getting down. You just have to find the solution as quickly as you can.
And often there's like numerous solutions in different ways.
And
right?
I think that's part of the secret sauce is you don't have to find or be worried about finding the perfect solution. It is much better to move through the problem quickly with one of those solutions than to find
argue about which one is the right way to go.
We could do this, or we could do this, or we could do this, or we could do this. I'm getting upset because you're saying that your solution is better than mine. And really what it came down to was we were able to solve problems really fast all of the time and then get to actually enjoying our trip, whether that was Mexico or California. We were able to create more space for enjoyment and honestly reduce anxiety, because the more time you sit with a problem or a challenge, the more that anxiety increases.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to reduce that and increase our fun time and our travel time.
Awesome. So if I boil that down to a pro tip is when problems come, and they will, solve them as fast as possible to keep moving.
Yeah.
Nice. And now TEREN gear.
TEREN gear.
You got a whole kit now, but what's your favorite piece? Oh, he's about to climb things. What do you know?
TEREN shorts. I really love these shorts for climbing, specifically because they've got a tapered fit on the leg. And I really like the magnetic button because it sits well under a harness. You're welcome, everyone, for that little fashion show. But yeah, I love these things. They've been great. I wear them pretty consistently climbing, and I've loved them since I got them for the
nice. I think I saw you take them on that trip too, so it's pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
I had them in Joshua Tree. I had them yesterday. I was rope climbing yesterday. So yeah, I wear these things all the time.
That's rad. Well, thanks, Caleb, for hanging out, and hopefully,
thank you for hanging out.
Yeah, you guys made it to the end.